Sup everyone, I'm your female otaku and I'm here to review the finale episode of SukaSuka. And this episode, even though I didn't cry because as I've repeatedly said, it's been forcing the feels onto me, so I knew all this tragedy stuff was gonna happen. We all called it since the beginning that Cathali was gonna die. So I didn't cry or was on the verge of tears or anything. However, I will admit that the scene at the end where Cathali is killing all the monsters almost kind of like gracefully, and it looked like a performance, like a ballet, kinda. That was very beautiful, I will say that. But did I catch the feels or anything? No. This was all expected from the beginning. In fact, so many of you guys in the comments of last week's video were saying, hey, when you're done with the episode, you should totally watch episode 1, like the first minute episode 1, bam, that's what's gonna happen. And I'm just like, no, I'll ruin even more of the experience for me. There's no way, and I hope none of you guys, I mean, I know some of you guys did, but I hope most of you guys, after finishing episode 11, did not go back to episode 1 to see that tragic scene that was played out before us in this episode. That would have totally ruined the experience, and I hope anyone who's, you know, I guess someone who's considering watching the series, if they are watching this video, which there will be spoilers, so I don't think you should continue watching this, however, you shouldn't do that. At all. That will ruin the experience. The experience already is ruined for me because I'm not crying or feeling any feels whatsoever because this was all been expected, but still, I don't want the experience to be ruined for me even more. We're left with a very interesting ending. Ren did die even though Willem tried his best to save her, and Cathali even went in to save them. And then I guess it was too late because also Willem died. And I did say in last week's episode that the death flags were certainly raised when it came to Willem. But at the end of the episode, even though we didn't see Willem die, we go with his old friend, the Great Sage. I don't remember his actual name, but his friend noticed that he couldn't detect Willem's life source, or he couldn't detect his like heartbeat or whatever. Basically, he couldn't detect where Willem was. So he's like, there's no way. Could he have? And in the meantime, we see that a new life has been formed. By this case, a new fairy, a new leprechaun. That being Cathali. In the end, Cathali died, but not out of sadness, but because she was really happy. And she was so overcome with happiness that she went in there and honestly got herself killed. But you know what? She did not die in vain because she did her damnedest to save everyone, and she took care quite a bit of the monsters. Helped out her friends too. So good job, Cathali. And now that she's, you know, been reborn, we see that even though she was crying at first, as all babies do when they're first born, right afterwards she smiles. So Cathali is still going to be incredibly happy. Where will her journey take her? No idea, but I do know that there is a sequel light novel, and that may or may not be adapted into an anime. I don't know if it's complete or not. I also gotta hand it to Willem because even though he was injured and, you know, he's losing more and more power, he still also tried his damnedest to save as many people as possible, take care of the monsters. He didn't have any weapons. He didn't use a weapon at all. All he did was kick monsters, you know, punch them and stuff like that. He was naturally that strong, able to kill them, but you know, with that injury, he started to slow down. SukaSuka is a very interesting fantasy anime, a tragedy fantasy anime, not something that we get too often. We do get a bit of tragedies and we do get quite a bit of fantasy, but tragedy fantasy isn't something that we get together too much. I can't really think of any other tragedy fantasy anime at the top of my head. I know there are some, but I honestly can't think of them at the top of my head. I wouldn't say Clannad is fantasy. That's more supernatural, slice of life tragedy. But this is the only one I can think of at the moment. I'm sure if I had more time, I could think of more tragedy fantasy anime. But if someone's looking for a tragedy fantasy anime, then yeah, sure, why not? Recommend SukaSuka. I'd have to give it a, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I really liked how each episode had something new to reveal or give us hints to something that will be revealed later on. I absolutely love it when a series does that because it keeps you engaged even if it seems like nothing is going on, like it's a ton of slice of life. Still, there's something in the episode that happens that'll be very important later on. and I always appreciate a series that does that. So let me know your thoughts on this finale and the series as a whole. What would you rate it? Would you recommend it? And catch me tomorrow as I review Sakura Quest. I'm your female otaku. Sayonara.